your school or in your class, what is the first thing you look at? Can somebody quickly respond? When a child is struggling, what's the first thing you look at? Can anybody respond? I just want an input from anyone. What do you look at when a child is struggling in your class or in your school? Anybody? Come on, we are all teachers, we're all educators. Nobody should be shy. Don't be scared of being wrong, or there's no wrong or right answer. I just want to know, what do we look at when a
Can I?
child? Yes, please go ahead. Bismillah.
No. I look at why the child is not picking it. Probably is my teaching methodology, the way I
Oh,
teach the child. Then
okay.
I
Oh,
look at is saying that the first one I look at is teaching methodology. And second is she actually having issue with the topic, or probably she was just not paying attention. He or she was just not paying attention at that particular time. So,
okay. So you look at your
Then
own
if the
teaching
child
methods.
is very emotionally,
Pardon?
like
Are
if
you?
the
You
child
don't?
is having emotional problem, maybe from home or
Okay.
anything can cause it.
Okay. Can you please tell me where you are calling from? I would like to know your school and where you are calling from, please. Or the
Alkalam school in Ibadan.
Masha Allah, Al Kalam from Ibadan. What about the first person, please?
okay, my third lad from Lagos here.
Pardon? I didn't hear you.
I said mad. That's our lad school
Okay.
from Lagos here.
Okay, Lagos. That's fantastic. Okay, so fantastic. You look at your own approach, and then you see if the child is doesn't understand or from probably an emotional distress from home. Right? Alhamdulillah. So that sounds nice. And that means that you are self-reflecting. You are trying to look at what you're doing wrong or what is it that isn't responding to your teaching, right? And then you're also going to look at the emotional state of the child. So I think this is fantastic. If we are actually doing this, it is fantastic because what we do a lot of times and what I've witnessed is that we keep on putting so much pressure on the child without particularly trying to see if we have ticked all we need to tick before facing the child. Okay. And what I notice is that we are trained actually to teach subjects, never to train the child. We are taught to teach subjects. Can you please mute your mic? Please mute your mic. Your voice is interfering in the discussion. I would really appreciate it if you can mute your mic. Okay, I think I'll have to do it on my end. I've done that. So once we are aware that what we do is we just teach subjects mindlessly. We want to cover the curriculum. We want to be able to say we are finished teaching for the week and then go on to the next week. We don't want to pay attention to if the child has developed or not. And there are so many factors we have to look at to know if the child is actually developing, if you are building that child, if you are training that child or not. And we're going to look at a few in this call, on this call. So the child comes to school with a body. That's what I want us to pay attention to. The child comes to school with a body. Another person interrupting. Let me mute. The child comes to school with a body, right? The child comes to school with a mind. The child also comes to school with emotions that are, all over the place. The child comes to school with a social world, parents, relatives, neighbors, friends, and all of those complex additions, right? The child is coming to school with all of that. The child is also coming to school with a spirit, the sense of identity, a sense of belonging, purpose. All of that is what that child is bringing to your classroom. And we should pay attention. A child that comes with all of that, we can't just face only the mind or memory and call it learning. That would be outright injustice. When a child comes with all of this and we face and we begin to speak only to the mind or to the memory of that child and then call it memory, that would be outright injustice. Let me give an example of a girl who I was with, I think about 2 years ago. So she was brought to me, and I think she was 7, 8 at the time. So she couldn't write her name, she couldn't read, and the teacher was quite fed up. She was fed up. So what I did was I just gave her a pen and asked her to write her name. Okay. So she tried, she couldn't even write. I asked her a few questions and she couldn't speak English. She couldn't respond to me in English. So my heart was, I felt a little bit sunken and I knew something had to happen. The fact that she happened to be in my space, I definitely knew that deep within my heart there had to be a shift in the life of this child. In fact, there were about five of them. So when a child isn't doing well, a clinic, a breakout session is created for them outside their classroom and they are taken at their own pace. And if the teacher or the clinic head that is taking them at their own pace is good enough, that child will be able to pick up and then go back into class just on time to meet up with class curriculum. So what we did was there is a culture in the school that encourages only positivity because we know the importance of a positive atmosphere in the learning experience of children. So that is one. The school culture should only be a positive atmosphere, and that is fertile enough for children's learning experience to take place. The second is that there was a breakout session created for these children. So there was a teacher put aside to train them on phonics, on pronunciations, on blending and word formation and things like that. And they were made to feel very safe, very, very safe. So making mistakes was not a problem. Okay, so all of this had to be in place. And then there was time. They had to be followed up. We had to mark time and closely work on the teacher and check the teacher to be sure that progress is being made. You wouldn't believe that this particular child that was taking so much time and giving the teacher so much distress was brought to me and told that she was doing even better than a lot of children after she had gone back to class. So you can see that the only thing this child needed was close attention, safety, emotional balance, and reassurance at all times. This girl became the best and the most improved student or pupil in that class. I was so proud of her and I was so proud of the teacher because it just showed it was another a justification or reassurance or case study, successful case study that showed that children just need a safe space, right? A teacher who is able to co regulate, a teacher who is patient to be able to say that, okay, this child has this particular challenge and I would be able to walk this child through patiently to see that progress is recorded. Not telling the child that your mates are doing this and then you can't keep up, not making the child feel inadequate, not making the child feel stupid. Because once you do that, you're just telling me that you are not experienced enough to know that when children are at a particular learning spot, it just means that the background wasn't strong enough for them to be where you want them to be or where they are supposed to be. So we need to go back and build that foundation for them. And the speed at which they'll catch up will blow your mind if you're patient enough. Okay? Are we still together?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, please note that a child who doesn't feel safe cannot learn anything. A child who hasn't eaten cannot learn anything. A child who is grieving, you know, lost someone, lost a friend, or someone traveled, cannot learn anything. A child cannot perform if they are grieving. And before we can teach any subject, we have to see that we have already cleared all of those things. We must see the child, not the fact that the child is delaying your lesson. So when there is something off, I would like us to know that we should stop the lesson, right? And see how we can elicit information, co regulate with the child, make other children even participate in trying to make that baby happy. And once you can do that as a family, as a classroom, as colleagues, you find out that you're just teaching children to be sensitive to other people's emotions. I want us to shift from just paying attention to curriculum alone and knowing that we are dealing with a human being. The way we handle only curriculum is what is spitting out the kind of adults we have today. Very frustrated set of people that we are spitting out very impatient set of people and people who can't regulate themselves and even be adults because the foundation was based off of something that wouldn't help them. I'm one of them. Don't get me wrong, I'm one of them. But now that I know better, I want us to shift the way we communicate with children, the way we work with children, so that by the time they become adults, they're emotionally sound, they're socially competent, they're cognitively. Oh my. Let me mute their mic. All right. So they are ready for the future. And the only way we can change their future is by starting with them now. All right. I hope you are following. Now, most of our teachers, most of our learning facilitators are teaching the curriculum alone. And that's what we need to change. Oh my, I keep muting everybody, but somehow they keep coming back on. Let me mute this mic. Okay. So we teach only the curriculum, and I believe that if we were to shift from teaching only the curriculum, we'll be able to produce more people. And of course, we would have to be emotionally equipped and patient enough to be able to identify this and then work with it in our classrooms. So very few teachers, teach in front, very few teachers look at the children right in front of them and then teach the child. A lot of teachers that I've seen teach the curriculum. And the reason is that they don't know what to do. They don't even know what to expect from a 6-year-old, or they don't know what to expect from an 8-year-old, or they don't know what to expect from a 10-year-old, and realize that there are a lot of biological interference that needs to be taken into account while teaching. There is developmental milestones that need to be paid attention to while teaching. What is a 6-year-old capable of learning, or capable of doing, or capable of understanding? What are developmentally appropriate practices that I can implement in my classroom that would help this child grow optimally? Okay, so let's look at some areas. And the first and most common area is the cognitive space, the cognitive development, which is what everybody knows how to do. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Define this, list this, mention this. Okay, 100 over 100. That is what we are so good at. We don't even know that early years children learn through play. Children in preschool, they learn through playing. And I really mean practical playing. That is how they learn. When children are playing with a ball, they are learning that if I run faster, I can kick the ball faster. If I slow down, the ball might continue to run. Might continue to roll. I'll have to keep up. And if I want the ball to stop, I'll have to use my leg to stop it. They are learning. They are also learning that if I'm not fast enough, someone can pick the ball, and that is on the football field. If they're outside talking or in the playground or playing with the swing or playing hopscotch, they are learning. If they're playing with animals or superhero figures, they are learning. And they are learning so many things. The neurons are snapping every millisecond. They are learning shapes, they are learning textures, they are learning sound, they are learning responses, they are learning about falling, they are learning how quick to respond, what would happen if they say this, what they are learning. And we, as educators, are supposed to know that when children play, that is the only gateway to learning. Concrete experience is how they learn. Unfortunately, some of our teachers just expect them to sit seriously. How can they learn when you want them to keep quiet and shut up? They can't learn. In fact, you are instilling fear in their system. Look for a way you can play with children and then just put in, what you want them to learn, and they will pick it up instantly. Okay? So sitting down and copying is not learning. You are punishing them. Now, 5-year-olds, they cannot yet think abstractly. So when you drill definitions and tell them to repeat after you, that's not developmentally appropriate. That's just making them learn like an adult. The curriculum says you should teach this and teach that and teach this, but the child's brain is saying not yet, not yet, not yet. So what do we do? What do we do? You need to find a common ground. You teach the curriculum, but you do it while playing. You're going to tell a story, you do it while dramatizing and putting in jokes, and mimicking and role playing and laughing and rolling on the floor so that they laugh and then they are learning and they don't even realize they are learning. And you know what? When we do this to work with children, ask them 6 years after, they will tell you verbatim. They will tell you what you've taught them while they were playing. But if you tell them to sit down and keep quiet and listen to me, they will forget as you start talking. So I want you to try it. Try to be playful. Try to be playful. You want to teach children sounds. You go outside, you play hopscotch while putting letters and alphabets. You want to tell them, you want to read a comprehension story passage. You turn it into a story and then you dramatize, you close your eyes, you raise your voice, you reduce your voice, you turn around, you jump, you make funny sounds and let them laugh and giggle. Then you ask questions. They will answer you. But if you just speak, in a monotone and you want them to respond to you like serious PhD students, they would forget. They will be tense. Okay? So that is for the cognitive advice that I have for you. Input play into the early years. Include a lead. You can reduce the play for 5 year olds and then make it more about a constructive learning. Help them, ask them a lot of questions. They would ask you questions, answer as many questions as you humanly can ask. Okay. I have a child who asks me questions over and over and over again, and I have it as a point of duty for me to answer all their questions. I have a 23-year-old who, when he was 7, was asking me about how my third child was born. Okay, they came to the hospital to meet me and they kept asking me questions over and over and over again. How did he get inside? How did he come out? When did he come out? Did it pain you? And I made sure I took my time to answer all of the questions. And they were about five, let's see, yeah, 5 and 7. Both of them were 5 and 7. They are both 21 and 23 now. So answer all questions. The second point is the second domain is the emotional and social development. And when you want to look at if a child is socially developed, social has to do with the person and another person. Emotional is how you're able to express your feelings and regulate your feelings, right? Now, a 5 to 7 year old that is still learning about himself or herself cannot, how would I even put it? They still are learning how other people feel, and they're trying to understand how other people feel as against how they feel. They haven't gotten it yet. They are still trying to learn that. And if we know that as educators, what we should do is try to help them. Okay, I spoke about zone of flexible development last time. So you go to that middle and try to help them understand that, okay, this person feels this way, that person feels this way. And making this happen in the classroom can be very reassuring for children. If we understand that classrooms are not meant only for cognitive development, we will be sure to improve our social and emotional aspects when teaching in the classroom. Sometimes we get so tense and we get so firm when we want everyone to sit down, not knowing that a discomfort can actually be a deterrent to learning. So you stop the learning process. There is no rush. If you had planned to teach and cover this subject, something happens in class, for crying out loud, drop the subject and focus on what is happening. Let everyone contribute to a child who is being naughty, a child who is crying, a child who spilled water. You stop. Oh, you poured water. What happened? Okay, you put the bottle well, or probably the child took an excuse to go and drink water, and when the child put the bottle back, maybe he didn't place it well, and then it fell down and spilled. Then everybody stops. You help to clean the water, and you ask everyone, "Why do you think the water poured? Why do you think the bottle? Why do you think the bottle fell down?" Okay, he didn't place it well. So next time when we are going to place our bottles, what do? We push it right into the cupboard so it doesn't fall again. You've taught children, you've taught them to think critically, you've taught them about empathy, you've made the child who made the bottle fall down feel safe. So the children in your classroom would always feel safe because you wouldn't be pointing fingers at them all of the time. So, when schools make you feel the curriculum, you have to rush and no, 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 no. It's not only about teaching the curriculum or the subject, it's about teaching the child. That is where we miss it a lot of times. So we cough out or we vomit out or we spit out children who are half baked. Schools today should not just be teaching the curriculum. I want to keep on saying it and reminding us that we are building human beings who could one day be the president, the governor, the local government chairman, the Miangwa in an area, you don't know who you are building. So children kept in our care is an amana, is a trust upon us. And God is watching. Even if the parents aren't there, God is watching. Now, asking a 6-year-old to sit down for 45 minutes is not discipline at all. It's a biological how would what's the word? A biological can, can somebody help me out? You are stunting development biologically by asking a child to sit down in one place who is 6 years old. Yes. You're asking a child to sit down when developmentally they progress while moving around. Children learn faster while moving around. So you go from one place to the other, development is taking place, they are growing, they are learning. But when you ask them to sit in one place, what are you saying? Don't talk, don't move, just sit down and listen to me. That is why today in 2026, teachers should leave the front of the classroom and allow the children to man their lessons. And yes, it's possible. I've done it in 3 different schools and it is fantastic. Okay. So we are physically punishing them. That is the truth when we ask them to sit down and just keep quiet. So if we want to regulate them emotionally and socially, it's not by asking them to sit down, it's by ensuring that can you please mute your mic? You're interfering. Let me mute this person. Hold on, please. Okay. So we are interfering with their development. So we've spoken about cognitive development, we've spoken about emotional and social. I just had to touch on it so that we can work within the time that we have and so that questions can pass as well. So I'll go into physical development. All right. So your fine motor skills needed. You have fine motor skills and gross motor skills. Fine motor skills are to help them write, and gross motor skills, not help them write, but they are to help the children to do tiny activities with their fingers. Gross motor skills require children to use their muscles, larger muscles like running, climbing up steps, hopping, and things like that. So fine motor skills needed for writing, actually develop at different rates. I'm using writing because I'm talking about the classroom now. And some children are penalized for poor handwriting when their hands are simply not just ready to write. Their hands are not ready to write. And a parent can come in and complain that my child can't write and the child is 2. Can you beat that? The child is 2. Even if the child is 3 and can't write, you should not panic. Even if the child's neighbor started writing at the age of 1, you still should not panic. You probably should be panicking when the child is 6 and can't write. But 3, come on, just cut the child some slack and face other developmental areas like the emotional, the social, the cognitive. With time, the child will catch up. What we need to do is expose the child to preliminary writing activities like playing with Play Doh, plasticine, molding with mud, buttoning, learning how to tie a shoelace. All these activities are mentioned in sewing, kneading, what else? Knitting. All these require children to make use of their finger muscles, their fine motor skills, their fine motor muscles. So when children do things with their muscles very frequently, you're just developing, helping to strengthen the hand muscles. And then you can now introduce writing little by little without tension, without stress, without rush. And the child would pick up, especially when we are safe. We create a safe learning space and we are patient. Children thrive more when they know that the adult behind them or around them is being patient with them. Okay, movement is actually not a distraction from learning. It is a learning activity for children, especially young children when they move around. Okay, so try to see that we are patient with them and we encourage movement. Okay, you go outside, outdoor activities, classroom activities, and within the classroom, movement as well helps the children. It facilitates development. Our classrooms are actually designed for adults, not children at all, not children. When there are play activities in the classroom, you find out that implementing or meeting up with your behavioral objectives will be faster. Okay, so before any lesson, let's look at something practical now. Before every lesson, I want us to, ask ourselves these few questions. What can a child this age actually do? Okay. What can they do cognitively right now? Which means that we need the developmental milestones for every age. At 8 years old, what can this child do? What is this child supposed to do? By 5, what is this child supposed to do? And your job is to ensure that your children surpass these milestones. Now, another question is, what is this child feeling when they walk into my class? If you're honest with yourself, you have the right questions. What is this child feeling when they come into my class? Are my children scared? Are they excited? Are they happy? Do they want to continue? Would they choose me next year? What does this child's body need in order to be ready to learn? What does this child body need? Does this child need to rest? Is this child hungry? Is this child holding up tears? If we are sensitive, we will be able to answer these questions. And if we cannot answer these questions, we are just going to be, teaching an empty classroom. Even if there are children there, we are teaching an empty classroom. And that is why children don't learn. We have not taken our time to tick off all these boxes. Hmm? Another thing is, I believe that schools must change. I want us to change from performance to development. So we should take our attention from performance based activities to actually developing who the children are becoming. It is difficult because the society is very big on performance. But the truth is, when you become an adult, performance is not what takes you anywhere. It's who you are that takes you a lot of places. Are you a nice person? Are you compassionate? Do you have social competence? Are you emotionally regulated? Whether you had 10 A's for why, it will not play when you're an adult or when you're negotiating or when you're closing deals or when you're applying. All that wouldn't count. Is your ability to communicate efficiently, the kind of person you are. Are you courteous? Do you have morals? Are you spiritually upright? Are you socially competent? So these are the things I believe that we should shift our attention to. But at the same time, we can make sure that performance is there because that's what parents are paying for. When you educate children, you're educating the whole child. You're not just educating one aspect of the child. So when parents feel that you should pay attention to only the cognitive department, you as an educator who is a professional should be able to educate parents and let them know that, hold on a bit, we have other areas that we are meant to help children to develop, not only the cognitive. We have the social aspect, we have the emotional aspect, we have the physical aspect, we have moral aspect, we have the spiritual aspect. Okay. Then I want us to train teachers in child development, not just the subject matter. I hope we are writing this. When we have teachers, they are to learn how children develop. When we know about child development, and only then will we know how to teach children. But if we don't know about child development and how children learn, and we only learn the subject matter, you would just be teaching an empty class and you probably not be, that extra bit that makes you stand out will be absent. Then try to create emotionally safe classrooms. Make sure your classrooms are emotionally safe. A child who is scared or who fears a teacher cannot learn from that teacher. Okay? Then one last thing is I want us to slow down. Schools need to slow down. We need to slow down and stop rushing content to meet the exam questions. We rush content just to meet exam targets while children are left behind. Please, who does that? Who does that? We speed the children into achieving what? I don't know, the exams, or we are building human beings. So speed is not progress at all. Speed is not progress. We should just take our time and do the right thing, especially when what we are doing now is not producing developmentally appropriate human adults. Okay? Now, I want to close by saying this. Every child who passes through your school is not just learning about English or mathematics or science. They are learning a lot more, or they should learn a lot more. They should learn whether they are capable. They should learn whether they are safe. They want to learn if they belong. They want to know if they are enough. If you take note of a lot of adults today don't even know if they are enough. They don't know if they are good enough. They don't know if they belong in certain spaces. They don't know if they are safe. They don't know if they are capable. They have to second guess themselves a lot of times. And believe me, I know a lot of adults that are still scared of doing so many things that they are free to do. And that is because of the foundation they were built upon. Always asked to keep quiet, shut up. Your mistakes make you silly or useless. You're not capable enough. You're just you. Oh man, we really need to change the narrative in our schools, and we need to start with ourselves. Start with curing your own trauma, your childhood traumas, and that's the only way you'd be able to take care of your teachers or your children or whatever capacity you hold in a school environment. And this is not a small thing at all. It's actually a big deal. It's a big responsibility that God has placed in our hands. And that is the most, in my opinion, important work on earth. When you are put in a position to build human beings, it is the most important work in the world on earth. Okay, not just the curriculum. So when people come in and say your school, your children, just encourage them and let them know that in this school, we're not just looking at cognitive development at all. We are talking about building the whole child, and this and this and this and that is what it entails. All right. So the last and not the least is that um, ask yourself, does the child in your class feel seen? Do your children actually feel seen? Do they feel that you care about them? Do they feel that you love them from the bottom of your heart? Do they feel confident when they think about you? Do they feel inspired when they remember you? Are you actually taking up space in their hearts, in their minds, in their brain? That alone does a lot because children almost worship their teachers over their parents. Okay? So when a child feels seen, they learn a lot. When a child feels seen, they grow. When a child feels seen, they become who they are supposed to come. And that is the whole child. And that is why you are here today. Naam, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So I've come to the end. I hope we've learned something today. Over to you for questions, contributions, and commendations. You can unmute your mic. Any contributions? Unmute your mic, ask questions, contributions. We have a few minutes to go. Are we shy? Are we shy? This is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. Come on, come on. I need to hear one or two things from us. We are educators, we are not shy. Let's contribute. Let's see, what have we learned? Okay, what stood out for us? Let me put it this way. What stood out for us? Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Are you saying something? Oh my, let me mute her mic. It seems to be. All right. What did we learn today, please? What stood out for you? What do you think you can implement tomorrow in your school? What can you implement tomorrow?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. Please tell us the name of your school and which state you are calling from.
Okay, my name is Muhammad Mujahid Musa.
Okay.
I am from Ishraq Educational Services and Consultancy.
Okay. Which state is that?
I'm from Kaduna State.
Okay, Kaduna.
Now, so I just have a little contribution, and I just want to emphasize on allowing children to copy note, like you mentioned, and this is to school owners especially. Sometimes they make teachers to do that because a lot of school owners assess teachers by the number of notes that they give the children or by the number of activities that they give the children. So this will make, or by the number of curriculum coverage, as the case may be. So this gives the teachers pressure, and it makes them not to do what they are supposed to do. They'll only concentrate on what the school
The
owners
targets,
use to
yeah.
assess their grades.
Yeah.
So this is my contribution.
That's true. That's true. I spoke with someone earlier today, and that's exactly what she was talking about. I think her concern was she was talking about outdated notes and that they needed more notes for the children in their school, to be able to meet up with requirements of 2026. And you're right, a lot of
Yeah.
us we pay more attention. We seem to feel that the quality or the quantity of the note is what determines the quality of education we're giving children. And I think it's more than that. I strongly believe it's more than that. Thanks a lot for that contribution. Do we have anything else from anybody? We have quite a number of people joining us here. Are we all shy? Are we all shy? What's going on? Where is everybody?
Assalamu
Hello.
alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa
Hello,
rahmatullah.
assalamu
Yes, please. What's
alaikum. I thought today's class, what actually stood out for me was the fact that we should make our class a class that is safe for the children.
yes,
They should not be scared of us. I picked that point
yes.
that once they are not and make them feel valued,
Mhm.
that okay, their opinion also matters. So that aspect stood out for me.
Yes,
Jazakallah khairan.
beautiful. Well, yeah, Keith, Jazakallah khairan. I'm happy you said that because it is key, honestly. It actually opens the child's brain when the child sees that, oh, okay, I'm safe here. I can make mistakes here. Nobody's going to crucify me. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it play out. I've seen the confidence of children bloom when they find out that, certain mistakes they make isn't escalated beyond measure. Probably they've seen it escalate to an extent at home, and then they come to school and that same mistake is done and it's not escalated. In fact, excuses are made for them and it's explained to them, and then they see that, oh, okay, I'm not crucified. I'm not dead. I'm still alive. Oh, okay, I think I can loosen and relax here. And then you call that same child and tell the child one plus one. The child would definitely be willing to listen and learn, you know?
Okay, but I have a question.
Yes, please.
Okay, making a class feel safe, do you still have to strike a balance?
Mm,
How do you strike the balance? Children, they are kind of funny. Once they see that, okay, this person is homely, welcoming, and okay, agree to some of their faults or just overlook some of their mistakes, they tend to make it like they tend to make it an habitual stuff. So, and once you one child has escaped punishment, the other two they will what they'll follow, as in they will take
take advantage, right?
that person as they'll take advantage of the teacher. So
Yeah.
how do you balance? For example, in a case whereby the child did not do his or her assignment, probably today, and you said, okay, make sure you do it tomorrow. No, and you write not done or redo. Then the second day, the child come up with another excuse. I forgot my pencil. I sort of some. We are human beings.
Mm,
We are human beings
mm.
as much as we try to regulate our feelings as teachers, as educators, there are sometimes we just lose our cool. So
Mm.
how do you balance that aspect when it is up
Hello, hello,
to
hello.
maintain that? Hello, are you with me?
Okay, yes, yes,
Okay. So we want to make our class safe as well as still instill that people that yes, I can be cool, I can be homey, I can accommodate you, but there is a limit. So
yes.
how do you balance that?
In fact, you've asked a fantastic question. Okay, how do you balance that? And then children would also see that if a child escapes punishment, the child would probably that would probably be sending a signal to other children that, oh, we can just do what we have, what we want, and have a party here. So the first thing I want to say is, number one, we are not even punishing the children. We're just going to give them consequences, right? And don't forget that when when I say create a safe space or an emotionally safe space for the child to learn, I'm not saying we should overlook their shortcomings. We're just saying that they should still feel safe. let me give example of the example you gave. Let me talk about the example you gave. For instance, you said somebody didn't do his homework the first time. You understood and say, okay, make sure you do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow he comes and gives another excuse. I left my pencil at home or something. I think at that point, you want children to feel responsible, right? Because today, helping children to own, to have agency of their learning, to be responsible is what is key. To be independent, to use their initiative is what we want to do. So we're not going to be giving punishments, but we let them face the consequences, for not doing their homework. And you can make those consequences in such a way that when you make them face those consequences, they never ever want to forget their homework at home again. So the children. There's no one size fits all, but your children, and you know what will pain a child. You know what would hurt this child. You know what will make that child feel bad, in the sense that you can either use deprivation, right? You can either use deprivation, but whatever consequence your children are going to face, just make sure that it relates to what it is that they have done. So, for instance, you can say, can you please mute your mic, please? Can you please mute your mic? So, for it, let me give you an example. There was a time I was in class. I think I was teaching nursery, and we wanted the children to write their numbers. And this particular child refused to write. He didn't write. And I was like, okay. And there's another point I want to add. When you want to give consequences, it's always good children know the consequences before they do anything. So you don't do your homework, you always tell them, you now tell the whole class that if you don't do your homework, this is what is going to happen. So they are aware. And whatever consequences has to relate to their work. So for instance, for me in that class, then I just told them that, okay, if you don't do your numbers, then you will not go out for break with us, because we are all going out for break. So that break is the key. I mean, your writing is the key to going out with us, right? So finish your work is somebody who has worked that can play, somebody who has worked that can rest, okay? And one particular child refused to write. And I kept reminding them, okay, can you finish writing your numbers and let's go? Everybody was writing. And I tried making it interesting for them. Okay, have you gotten to this number? Yay. And they were right. Have you gotten to the yay? I noticed him, but I didn't pay attention to him. I just kept telling everybody. And he was just playing around, feeling so cool that he was going to play outside with everybody anyway. Or let me even tell you why I used that. Initially, there was no intention to go outside to play, but I knew that this particular child loved to go outside to play. So when I noticed he was not writing, I didn't want to go to him directly to say, why are you not writing? Because I think I had done that once. This is so many years ago when I was still in the classroom. I had done that once, and the response wasn't good enough for me. Can you mute your mic, please? Can you mute your mic? So I decided to use going out as an excuse, as a way of getting back at him, as a way of making him right. So I said, okay, we are all going to go out we are going to the slides to go and play. So once you finish, get ready, come and join the line. So as children finished, they just started rushing. When they finished, they came up to the front of the class and they joined the line. And they, oh, I finished. Oh, beautiful. You can close your book and come and join the line. So my chairman got up and he went to join the line. I just did as if I didn't see him. I was like, oh, beautiful. Everybody has finished. We are now on the line. Now let me go through everybody's book to see if they finished. Of course, I knew he didn't write his own. So I went and checked, okay, everybody's book. Then I saw his own. I was like, oh my, Ibrahim, you haven't written yours. Oh, you can't go out with us. I told you everybody has to go out to play. Oh, just come back and write. Don't worry. When you finish writing, you come and meet us. And I took everybody outside to play. As we were walking outside, I was paying attention to everyone. So we're going out, and we got outside. When we got outside, everybody was taking turns to go on the slide. My people, as I turned around, I saw Ibrahim. Hello, Ibrahim, why are you outside? Did you do your numbers? Yes. Did you finish? Yes. When I went to check, complete. 100% complete. So for me, in my mind, I had accomplished what I wanted to do. So in response to your question, I just want to say that when you want to make a place feel safe, it doesn't mean you should become a pushover. You are the only adult in that class, so be the adult. be the adult. You have to find a way to get children to feel safe, but they must meet your objectives. They must do what they're supposed to do. And it doesn't mean you're insensitive. If a child is hungry, please give him food to eat, because a child who is hungry cannot write. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes,
Hello.
I do. Yes, I do.
Aha, yes, beautiful. So we want to ensure that they face the consequences for their own misdeeds. And those consequences should align to whatever it is they are falling short of, but in a way that they can think themselves and say, "Oh, okay." Let me give you another example. Also with homework, right? Just the one you did. I noticed I was teaching grade 5 in a particular school in Kano at the time, and a lot of them were not doing their homework. And I was like, okay, why didn't you do your homework? They had one thing or the other. Oh, we went for Islamia. We did this. I was like, okay, fine. I know what I'm going to do. So I created a chart, right? And I had everybody's name written there. Then I bought beautiful stickers. And I told them that you get a sticker if you do your homework 10 days consecutively without missing it. Can you please mute your mic? Please mute your mic. Your background is interrupting. Okay. So I told them that if you do your homework for 10 days consecutively, you get one sticker. So everybody would always try. So sometimes some people do their homework for 5 days, and then on day 6, they don't do their homework. And I tell them, sorry, you have to go back to 0. So there was one particular girl. Then children started getting stickers by their names, except one particular girl called Mariam. She is such a smart and brilliant girl, but somehow she'll get to 9, right? On day 10, she will not do her homework. So the day and when she gets to 9 and she doesn't do her homework, I'll take her back to 0. And then she'll start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The day she finally hit day 10 of doing her homework, she was so elated. She was so happy. She said, "Oh my God, I suffered before I got this sticker." Those stickers were beautiful, very pretty stickers. And I hung the cardboard on the wall in my class. So everybody could see how many stickers they got. Some got 2 stickers before the end of the term, some got 3. And Miriam found it so difficult to get to 10 because she was always missing. So for me, that was a strategy for having children to do their homework every day. And then they began to compete. Then they began to try to do their homework in class before going home. You understand? So they owned their jobs, they owned their homework, and they were looking forward to doing their homework. And I didn't have to punish, I didn't have to, they didn't, that was my consequence. That was the consequence for them. You don't do your homework, you don't get a sticker, or you lose a count. Okay? So you can be creative and make it fun for yourself and the children. All right. So we've gone 2 minutes over our time. We've gone 2 minutes over our time. Do we have one last question or we can close for today? Can I take one last question so that we close?
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Which state are you calling from, please?
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam wa
I'm
rahmatullah.
calling from Kaduna.
Okay, Kaduna.
Yes. So Jazakallah khair, we really appreciate you.
Alhamdulillah.
And what I want to say is I really like this method. Let children learn by having fun. But I don't know, is this restricted to early years, nursery? Does it stop at early primary?
No,
Because
no.
if
No,
I
it
have to
doesn't.
if I have to say first-hand information, I have experience, watching kids grow from nursery up to graduating from primary, and I noticed that those that don't like writing, they actually don't do well, even in upper primary, vis-a-vis those that like to write. There are kids that they don't like to write, and they're intelligent. If you're going to give them questions, oral questions, they'll give you all the answers. But if they have to write in an exam, and such kids eventually, you can see that when they get to secondary, they don't become A students like those that love to write. They hardly finish their exam papers. They don't try. they answer those questions that they feel is easy, the ones that they have to write so much, they leave it out. So I'm like, parents are concerned about passing exams. At the end of the day, really, that's what parents are concerned about. Do they get all they need to do for their jam? They get those marks. Alhamdulillah, why jam is CBT now, so it's easier. But why is still not CBT. At times they have to write.
Yeah.
And if those kids don't get their their why, parents are like, what? I have wasted all my money.
Yes, I understand the
Yeah.
thing. I
So
understand
I
you.
need, so I'm just trying to, kids at times they can do some things, but they are lazy. And when they feel that nothing, they feel like, okay, I don't have to try, nothing will happen,
Mm-hmm.
nothing will happen. Some kids can say, okay, I don't want your stickers, and keep your stickers.
Mm,
I don't want them, and they'll still not try.
mm. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Okay, so for the
Mhm.
first question, thank you so much for your contribution. I would answer your first question and then, I mean, your questions, and then we can close. So,
Mhm.
Alhamdulillah, I I seem somehow to be able to relate with everything you have said because I've actually been in a nursery class, I've taught in a primary class, I've taught in secondary class, I've taught
Mhm.
in management, I've been, in this space, and I've had the opportunity to experience, what you are saying in different areas or at
Mhm.
different times of my teaching career and
Mhm.
school management and even working with other schools. And the truth is, okay, let me start with the first question. Playing is not restricted to children. I'm just saying that when children get older, they tend to understand in abstract better than in younger children. But please, by all means, use play to teach children in early years, in primary school, in secondary school, because if you know a child, for instance, you might not call it play, you might call it using their learning styles. So you have children in probably secondary, they have different learning styles. So you use those learning styles to teach them. Some prefer talking, some prefer using their hands, some prefer writing, some just prefer probably when you role play. Some prefer pictures and diagrams, some prefer videos. So when we understand all of this and we have teachers who are forward thinking, we'll be able to plan lessons in such a way that we can accommodate every single child in the class. Don't forget, the focus is the child, not the curriculum. I can give you a tip here. So, what I do to make it easy for children and teachers is that we teach the way that we believe the children will learn. Then at their terminal years where they need to write common entrance or SSC, then we do exam focused teaching. Then we can now start training them just to write the examinations. But throughout the years in the school, they are doing projects, they are learning public speaking, confidence, they are understanding, they are watching videos, they are going on field trips, they're having a fun time learning. Then in their terminal years, we now do the exam focused education that those examinations require. But we can't deprive them of real learning for so many years, and then we now expect them to pass and be complete human beings by the time they graduate. No, give them the full package of learning. Then at the final stage, you can now give them exam focused, where you now take past question papers and you begin to drill them. And they would be able to pick up because they are full blown children. They are exposed, they are enlightened, they move around, they let me mute this person. Let me mute. The person is interfering. Can you please mute your mic, everyone? You're interfering, please. Let me mute this person. Okay. So you can adopt that model and ensure that
Mhm.
all of your children are fully developed through early years, primary and secondary. By the time they get to SS2 to SS3, then you can bring out past question papers and begin to drill their brains out. But you can't drill their brains throughout early years to secondary and expect them to be normal human beings. No, let us work on developing them all round. Then the final year, we can begin to drill them. You drill them with dates, drill them with tests, mental, drill them for just that 1 year, and they will all pass. So that's what I do. Then your second Oh, I think, have I answered your question? Was there any other question?
Yes, you've combined them. That's fine.
Oh,
I
beautiful.
think I get it.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So today was lovely.
Alhamdulillah.
We have more
Mm.
participants this week than last week, and I hope a lot more people join us again next week. We'll continue to do high quality meetings like this to enlighten everybody, to share information about teaching and learning, various approaches, various psychological aids that can help children to learn and can equip the teachers and school leaders to do phenomenally well and equip our children with what they really, really need in 2026, not the traditional method that we were brought up with. So I would like to stop here and say Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please leave some reviews on the group and let others know what they are missing. All right, then. Thank you so much for
Wa
coming in.
alaikum assalam wa
All
rahmatullahi
right.
wa
All
barakatuh.
right. Unmute your mic and
Jazakumullah
say bye bye,
khairan.
please. Unmute your mic. Good night.
Ma salama.
Ma salam. Ma salam. Good night. Ma salam. Ma salam.
Salam.
Ma salam, everyone. Salam alaikum.
Salam.
Ma salam. Ma salam. Ma salam. I'm hearing more ma salams now. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Salam.
Ma salam. All right, then. See you all.
How are you?